Welcome to this tutorial to take you through onboarding customers within easyQ. We're going to look at two aspects of the platform today. The service provider login, where we'll be configuring customers that we want to engage with, and then the client platform and going through end-to-end how we set up a client and fully onboard them onto the easyQ solution. As I mentioned, there are two interfaces, and I'm going to begin on the service provider side and take you through what needs to be done on the service provider to start engaging with customers. There are a few settings we'll be going through which are one-time settings. You'll only have to do them once, and other things you'll have to do for each customer. So I'll explain that as we go through. So to begin with, we land within the tickets page. So this is where any existing customers that have submitted tickets to you, this is where they will land. Of course, if you have an integration, then tickets will be going into your third-party platform in addition to here. Okay, one of the first settings we have to do as a new service provider before we do anything else is set up our issue types. So here, really, we just want to know about any issue type group. So this is depending on the type of assets, the type of technologies that you're actually selling. I'm going to keep this example purely print-based, so I'm going to just set up an issue type group that I, as a dealer, use for printers. So this is really setting up tickets that I want to receive from the customer into my system, and this will become more apparent as we go through. So for example, printers, I could have no print. Okay, and then I can suggest whether I want a picture mandatory, desired, no picture at all. So I can set up how that ticket will be submitted. So in this example, if I was to make a mandatory picture, whenever the customer were to submit no print ticket to me, the camera comes up on their mobile device and requests a picture to be taken as well. Let's add that ticket type and then go in and add another one. So I will also say bad quality print. Maybe a meter read. Again, a meter read may auto close, so we might just ask the customer to give us a meter reading and then close the ticket straight away. So we're not leaving a ticket open on the system when that happens. One more, I would just do paper jam. Again, no picture required for this one. So we can review the ticket types that we have. Of course, they're all editable because I've created these. And later on, we'll see how these can be assigned. These issue types can be assigned to the customer that we're working with. Okay, there are really two or three other areas here that you may be working. Again, when we look at the one-time setup stuff, you've got the user management. So this is, again, as a service provider, who would you want from your company, your organization, to be able to log into the system and make changes? We do have different user levels. We have technician or admin user levels, and we have just basic users. So in this case, I am an administrator. I can add additional users. They can be user levels, so maybe a read-only user, or they can only do certain things within the system. This will be further covered off in another tutorial, so I'm not going to dwell too much on this side. Okay, when we look at onboarding a customer, we can add companies, and we also have the QR codes that we can assign to companies. So as an example, I may have purchased 500 QR tags, and I'm going to engage with a customer that has 10 assets. So the first thing I need to do is set up the company that I'm going to be engaging with. So we just add a brand new company here for the purpose of this demo. And then we need to go through and populate other details. So we just give this one a company name, a phone number, street, city, etc., etc. Okay, and the DAT number I will come back to shortly upon registration. So when I click on the invite button, the user that I've specified in this email address, because I'm doing this by invite, the user will receive an email with a link to click on and complete their registration. So they'll be asked to set up a username and password, which we'll show that process in just a moment. So we click on invite, and just because I'm going to be clicking on a link with a new username and password, I'm just going to log out of the portal for the time being, because I don't want that going back in with my standard username. So now I can retrieve my email. And here we have the email that's come in now to my inbox. You see it's come to this user. There's a welcome message which is configurable here, and we have a link to get started. So the user will click on this, and this is why I logged out, so I wasn't pre-logged in already. Okay, and we can put in a password, our first name, and surname, and anything that wasn't completed during the registration process. So one of these would be the VAT number, because in the UK we have to provide a VAT number here, and then we can complete the registration. My internet's not performing as quick as it should do today, so this is taking a little longer than normal. Okay, so do I want to save the password? No, there is a small EULA here, just GDPR regulations. Obviously, we need to do this now, so do you agree to terms and conditions? The cookies, etc., are mandatory to use the system, so they do need to be accepted. Do I or do I not want to sign up for marketing? Okay, so that user is fully registered. Now, we'll come back to this user in just a moment. I'm going to log out and log back in as the service provider just to show you the final steps that need to be completed. Because one thing we haven't done is assign the QR codes. So obviously we said that customer had 10 assets. We need to now assign 10 QR codes to that customer so that they can tag those assets with the codes. Okay, sorry for the wait there. Okay, so we can go to the QR codes tab. First of all, let's go into companies because I just want to show you the company that's been created now. Okay, so we have the new company I created, Demo 1402, says it's invited and linked, so it's fully activated within the system. Prior to that activation being accepted, this will say invited, and there's an option to resend the link. Obviously, we can't see that now because I've completed the registration, but that would normally be the case. What I can now do is go to the QR codes tab here, and we'll load up all the QR codes that we have. So this is my, probably don't have 500, but this could be your 500 QR tags. And you just take the 10 that you want to go to the customer with and activate on devices. So for the purpose of this demo, I won't take all 10, I'll just take, I've got there 7. Okay, so there's 7 QR codes I'm going to assign to a customer. So up here, I've got the assign to customer button, and I can choose by starting to type which customer I want to assign it to. So here's our Demo 1402, click assign, and that will quickly refresh, and we can now see those 7 QR codes belong to that customer. So at this stage, we're done. We're done on the service provider side. Let's log out and log in as a customer because we need to do some configuration there. Okay, so logging into the system. Again, you fall into the tickets window to begin with, so any tickets that I've submitted as a user will appear here. We're going to be concentrating on issue types, service providers, supplier groups, and linking tasks. Just quickly before I move forward anymore, again, we have the user management engine here. So anybody within the customer side, your end user side, that you want to be able to access the system, or they want to be able to access the system, can be set up here. We do have floor plan maps as well, and again, I'm not going to go into this in this tutorial. I'm going to talk about this further in another video. So to begin with, we have our issue types, and remember we had issue types we already set up on the dealer side. the customer has some defaults. So there's a linking procedure between these two, which I'll show you later on. Just the same as on the service provider account, there's a possibility to add additional ticket lists. So if the customer wanted to use this for other things, water coolers, plumbing, anything else within their environment they wanted to, they could add additional ticket lists and send stuff off to other service providers. That brings me to service providers, where I can set up who receives tickets, essentially. So in this case, when we load this window up, we're going to be presented with the service provider that linked this customer. So the account that I was logged into earlier on. And by default, the internal user is also in this list as well. So obviously anybody I add within user management can also appear within this list. In addition, I can also invite service providers, so I can invite a different company to be able to provide services for me. But right now, we're going to work just with these two, so I won't add anything in here. What I do want to do is add a group of suppliers. Okay. So in this case, because I'm supplying, or my supplier is providing printers, I'll just call this printers. Now it could be, for example, desktop printers. And this will become clear why we can have different supplier groups in just a moment. If I add this group now, then what we can do is reference back to our ticket lists. So no print, paper jam, ordering, toner, etc., etc. Those, if they come to you, you can categorize them to the type of ticket you want to receive back in your system. So you set up, this links to your ticket list. So whenever there's a no print, that's going to go into no print within your ticket list. Whenever there's a paper jam, it's going to go into paper jam within your ticket list. Ordering or toner, I'm going to leave out because I'm doing another tutorial on the shop. We don't really do ordering and toner on this anymore. Print defect goes to either no print, bad quality print, whatever you want. And meter read will go to meter read within your system. Of course, we can have, so this example is going to stay just going to the IT department. It could be a procurement, anything else. So if I want to order something, it could go to a separate internal department, or of course it could go up to a provider to provide that consumable. Let's save and close that. Okay. So what we've effectively done is we've got our own issue type. So what do we want our users to recognize tickets as? How are they presented to our users? We've linked those issue types to our supplier by the way that the supplier recognizes those or wants to recognize those issue types. So you can essentially present something as a friendly language, if you like, for the end users. And that can come in much more technical language that the service provider will recognize that ticket as. So we can separate the user experiences to make it more simple, straightforward for the people submitting tickets. What we haven't done yet is looked at the assets, imported the assets that we have within the organization, or linked QR codes to those assets. So let's look at that procedure now. If I go to linking tasks here, I would see normally the assets that I have within my supplier group. In this case, I don't have any, so I'm going to show you how to add those. Okay, so my assets would normally appear here, and I don't believe I've imported any for this project, so let me import the assets from a list. Okay, so we're going to take we can do this by an Excel template. We can do this by integration as well. So a lot of our customers have integrations with their existing service management platforms, and we import the assets from there. For the purpose of this, just to keep it as generic as possible, I'm going to do a import of a file from here. So here's an example. When you take the template, so we've got one MFP, we've got a coffee machine, and we've got a computer. Let's just add one more asset. I won't do a real device here, serial number, and that will be a printer. I've got that right. Obviously, we have the assets within a drop-down menu, so that's important to get this right. Okay, going to save that now. So let me just save that that item away for recalling later on. So that's saved as import asset templates 1. We go back into the portal, browse for the file, and import that document. Don't believe this has a refresh. I'm not sure. It does have a refresh. Okay. So now we have 4 assets imported. And what I want to do is let's just take the assets that are printers. So this one and this one, and then assign them to the ticket lists for desktop printers. So whenever we don't have a QR code yet, but whenever I submit a ticket for this or this machine, there's going to be a menu type coming up for desktop printers. And remember that desktop printers menu type is back in the supplier groups. And it was the printing related issues that we configured for that. That's what we're going to see whenever we scan any of those devices. The other ones, of course, won't work yet because they're not assigned to any group. Okay, we next have the QR codes, and I need to link a QR code to an asset. So the way I can do that is just using my mobile device. Bring up a QR code on full on screen so I can scan it easily. And I will also bring up my mobile. Let's put the two side by side. Put that over there. Okay, and we have easyQ app that we can open and log in as our end user. Can I move that out of the way? Accept the EULA, and then we're into the system. Now normally we'd actually simplify this menu, so let me just do this really simple. Swiping from the left of the screen toward the right will give us the options. So this is our licensed modules that we have within easyQ, and we can choose which ones we want to display for each user. Okay, so I can scan the QR code now, and because it's a QR code assigned to my business, it knows that it's one of my QR codes. It doesn't say you're not authorized to scan this QR code. It asks me, do I want to link it? If I say yes, then I can either scan the serial number of the device, because we've imported the serial number, we can link it that way, or I can scan the QR code a second time and link it that way. So I just show that process. I say yes, camera comes up again, I scan that QR code once more, and it gives me the asset list that I imported, so my 4 assets that I imported, and I can choose which one I want to link. So I want to take the color cube, confirm that link, and let's just do one more to link up the HP device. So I'll take a second QR code, take my mobile device, scan QR, not recognized. Yes, I want to link. Scan the QR code again. And obviously there's only 3 assets here now because I've previously linked the Xerox device. So that's the other machine, confirm the link, done. Okay, so now we're pretty much ready to go, and I can show you the process. Let me just take you back into the linking tasks to show you how them assets now appear. You can see each of them now has a QR code attached to them, and I'm going to bring that QR code up and show you the user experience now. So scan the QR code, that's scanned, we see the assets. Okay, we can check it out of a location, we can view existing tickets, or we can report an issue. When I choose report issue, we get the user presented ticket lists. So I might say no print, let's leave it as that, submit. Not sure if this has a camera request, it doesn't. Okay, so now that ticket is submitted. Back on my platform, under tickets, we see that ticket there, and because it's gone to service provider that we configured, if I just log out and log in as a service provider, we will also see the ticket that belongs to that service provider there as well. And again, the categorization or the issue type on that ticket is as we configured it to be mapped. Okay, so that's basic onboarding. There will be more tutorial videos for some of the more advanced parts of this. Yeah, I mean, just stay tuned to our YouTube channel to see any of those. But this is onboarding a customer. Simple, just to get you up and running. There are other things that can be done, but that's the basic process. Thanks for watching.